Hello, volleyball fans. Joined by Darren Tipton of Adrenaline Volleyball to talk a little mid-season volleyball action. And Darren, it's been an exciting season, and like you said, you've been watching a lot of volleyball this year. Tell me, just first of all, how's the season been going for you?
Yeah, we've been busy, a lot of travel but the great thing about the live stream and live ticket and everything. I watched it in airports, we've watched it in different states, but checked out a lot of the big matches and teams that we got to see at SummerSlam that we kind of had an idea might be good. And it's been really cool watching a lot of the bigger matches. And there've been some surprises, there've been some constants. And it's weird for you to say mid-season already, though.
Yeah, no, exactly. But here we are. We're turning the page to October very soon. And before
Yeah.
you know it, we'll be in Rapid City crowning three more champions. But before then, let's talk a little bit about each class. Let's start in double A, where it's rare at this point in the season to have two undefeated teams, and they go at each other on Thursday. Harrisburg has been as good as advertised. Jefferson's been probably better than advertised.
Yeah, and two teams similar in that they had to rebuild a little bit, maybe did differently. Jefferson is very senior dominated, upperclassmen dominated. They have those four big time holdovers from last year's state runner up team, and Emery Brosnahan's off to a really good start. You see her statistically leading them, I think, in kills and in blocks, if I read right. And Cora Hogan said, I love her in the back row. I think she always goes not talked about enough, but she is an anchor back there. Then Presley Passion. And then, Alec Vernmo is somebody for 2 years now, none of us have talked enough about. She had a great state tournament and is just steady back there. So they had a big core and then added some new faces this year that have stepped right in. And, that's a credit, I think, too, to Coach Donnelly and new faces and the chemistry. And when I watch them, they play hard. They model her, they're intense, and they're a physical team. And so they're new and they've blown through. I was really surprised by, I guess, the sweep of Washington a couple weeks ago. They've just handled their business and they're on fire. And then I guess you look at Harrisburg, new pieces as well, but they're all eighth graders and freshmen.
Yeah,
And
isn't it? No seniors on this Harrisburg team.
yeah, yeah, not a senior on the team. And maybe it's like Dion says, you better get us this year. If you're going to get us, I don't know. But you look and they have, they've, lost an outside hitter. And so they replace, they bring in a freshman and who does big things. And I've watched them a lot. And early in the year, Kennedy Kokang, I believe. And I'm looking up like, who the heck is that? And they're good. And Bergen Stiff has jumped in the middle. That's going to be a really good matchup. I think the middles with Carolyn Leach, who I tweeted last week. I think she plays above her height every single match. And then, Lauren Venega has stepped in on the outside, another freshman. Of course, the old ladies, I guess, on the team are, Meister, Leach, Zachariason, Langer, and, sophomores and juniors. And so great. And how can we not talk about, Samuels and Jocelyn? Knew she was going to be good, knew she was talented. It's leading a team that sometimes takes a while. And that's what I really wanted to see. And in that Washington match last week, they checked all the boxes for me. They were composed. Washington had them on the ropes. It was a great double A match, right? Like you're going to see in November. And they stayed composed. They did not get rattled at all. There was no pointing fingers. They're loose. And the other thing they have, Jason, they don't only go to Zachariason every time. They have multiple options, which again, I think shows a lot for Samuels to be able to do that as an eighth grader, to spread the ball around. I think it's really easy just to say, I have this option and feed it over and over. And I like that Gabby, we all know she has one of the heaviest arms, probably in the Midwest, not just the state, but she's actually roll shot a little bit. And it's neat to see her game develop as well. So crazy how young they are, but very talented as well.
one of the, obviously you want seniors on a team, but the silver lining of not having seniors is what you said. You have a chance to step up and be a leader without stepping on anybody's toes. And these young girls have done that.
And I think vocally, maybe Zachariason a little bit more, but all of them do it. Carolyn
Right.
Leach, her energy on the court, something you and I have talked about that. The X's and O's of volleyball, I still don't understand, but I can read body language. You can look at chemistry, and that's important. And I think both of these teams, as we're talking about it in a different way, play with a lot of positive energy. And so I think Leach has really stepped up in that regard. Zachariason has brought a lot more energy, but Samuels and the youngins, I guess, the middle, they did not get rattled. Now, could happen. There may, you would expect there still to be some growing pains, but against Washington, I was just very impressed with that. And yeah, we look 2 years from now and think just how much better skill wise they're going to be. But composure and chemistry is really big, and probably a big reason both these teams are undefeated.
We could go on
Yeah.
about Double A, but we're going to get that maybe on a future episode. But those two teams squaring off Thursday night, and that should be a dandy. Let's move to Class A now, where Sioux Falls Christian has absolutely dominated this class for years. They're definitely the top team yet again this year. They've been tested. They've lost, a few games that they schedule against good teams from around the area, but they still feel like they have that it factor. But you and I both have been voting Del Rapids as the number 2 team, and think that they maybe are the threat in this class to Sioux Falls Christian.
Yeah, and I've had a couple Class A coaches text me and say, "Listen, with Del Rapids is focus, they just play differently, so much more locked in this year." And we've talked before, Jason, and when Haley was with me, we talked about losses that can be wins, and I really felt their match against Sioux Falls Christian went down as a loss, but I think they walked out of there knowing that, hey, we can play with them. They took a set, they were up big in another set. Now, that's a credit to whatever 8-time defending state champ. You're going to have to beat them. But I think they gained a lot of confidence. Now they did struggle a little bit at the Pentagon. On Saturday, they were in a loaded bracket, but that's what's great about that tournament. And they have some big wins, and they've taken care of teams maybe that they should sweep. They've swept. And I don't think they would be scared in the postseason, which, unfortunately that happens sometimes, right? We talk about Dakota Valley also in that mix, and Dakota Valley had a huge win over Chester Saturday, but they've played Sioux Falls Christian twice and still haven't taken a set, right? So it's still kind of that mental block. Now, credit to Sioux Falls Christian, they can get pushed and still put teams away because they've been in so many big matches, and any game on their schedule is, they know how hard they have to play, and they're used to it. And these other teams have to get used to it and take it a little bit farther. But Del Rapids is very, very talented. And I like, again, chemistry is another word. I like the energy they play with, and they're putting that together with all their talent this year.
For sure. Again, Darren Tipton with this adrenaline volleyball. And as we move through Class B, let's just bring up the Pentagon tournament that happened this week. And we could talk about all the classes because there were great teams regardless of class on the court. And Warner was the team that shined the brightest.
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of the past champions of that Western Christian, O'Gorman, Sioux Falls Christian, right? Great teams win that. That is a day full in that top bracket of great volleyball. And I tweeted this as well, that it was so great to see Ava back healthy. We missed her at SummerSlam. Warner missed her, and they weren't sure. They said that could be a 6-week injury. And so at the beginning of the year, they had to find some new pieces. And now that she's back, they were rolling. And I think one of the social media accounts, I met Sioux Falls Christian, said, "Hey, we lost a tough one against a very fundamentally sound Warner team." And that's what they are. And now they're seniors, right? We talked for years about how young they were. Now that group is seniors. And my only thing this summer was like, it's hard to keep that focus. Back-to-back state champs, right? We've done this. Sometimes it's hard to keep focus during the regular season, but man, they had the focus on Saturday and they looked very solid.
Well, you said it. Carrie Young said it too, is playing without Ava Nielsen is going to make us better. I mean,
Yep.
obviously, don't wish injury on anyone, but playing without her and now with her back, she's the kind of player that can come right back into a lineup and no adjustment period necessary. She came in and she's able to fit in right away. That says a lot about her and about how that team is really close.
Yeah, and they're very tight. And I think we're talking Chester again. I was a little surprised. What I was selfishly hoping for was a Chester Warner matchup on Saturday at some point, because they won't play during the regular season. And that was such a great state championship. And really, for the most part, both teams are completely back, and I work with Chester, talk to them. They are hungry is a word I would use for them this year. And I just was hoping selfishly that would happen. Dakota Valley, a big win, I thought, over Chester, because they've been beating AA teams, A teams. They've really been on a roll. And they're kind of the flip. They have a very, very talented and hungry sophomore class that will be there a couple more years. But when they got that close last year, they just flipped a switch intensity wise, and they will be there until the end. They just played because they played double. Like I said, they've had a very difficult schedule, and that will pay dividends in the postseason. So look for both of those teams. If they end up 1 and 2 seeds, I just think they're on a collision course for a big time rematch.
We are just getting the tip of the iceberg here in volleyball and just touched on some of the best teams in the state. But, Adrenaline Volleyball, you guys do a great job of covering. You can follow them on socials and you can watch all these games on live ticket all year long. Darren, thanks for being with us. Come back. We're going to talk more about some of the players to watch this year and get in more depth with some of these teams later in the season.
Awesome, buddy. You keep doing what you're doing for volleyball, man. You're the best. I appreciate you, Jace.
Thanks, Darren. We'll see you next time.
Take care.